There is no reset, people tell me all the time. When is this reset going to happen? Exactly. The issue is that most people believe that fiat currencies are money. This is where the problem is. And as long as they've got some money, everything is okay. The issue is that fiat currencies are not money. In fact, all references to money were removed from US statutes in 1976. In the Banking Act of 1959 in my own country in Australia, there are 0 references to money. In the Currency Act of 1965, it is exactly the same. As long as people believe that fiat currencies are enough, they don't need to do anything else. You don't need to diversify, go buy a property, shackle yourself to a commercial bank which is fractional at best, using promissory debt which is debased over time to try to live some sort of an existence. If you try to do those things, yes, you will be able to pay your bills. Yes, you'll be able to buy consumables. You'll be able to buy food and milk, and you'll be able to buy clothes and put fuel in your car. Fuel, by the way, being the number one non-discretionary expense of households. But what you won't be able to do is you won't be able to preserve your wealth. You will simply have no assets. And assets is what the game is all about. Living in a system of hyperinflation and currency debasement is what happens towards the end of a cycle. The Great Reset was a term that was coined by Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum. And there are many people that believe that this is just conspiracy. But the truth is, these resets happen all the time. Currency debasement is a very common central bank cycle. Since 1819, we have seen 8 of them, and now we're in the 9th reset. Around the world, countries such as Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Lebanon have all seen currency debasement. In the 1920s, the collapse of the Weimar Republic is a classic example, and in the 1930s, the collapse of the US dollar. A better word for the word reset is cycle. These happen all the time, and they are necessary. The central bank system is built entirely on confidence and ends around about the time that confidence is lost, just like we saw in 1933. Market panic, collapse of derivatives markets, closure of commercial banks, currency debasement, hyperinflation. These are the things that surround resets. Right now, our currency is in negative velocity. It's not how much of it you have, it's what it can buy you. And the US dollar has less than about 1 cent of buying power, and the Australian dollar is pegged to that at half that. There is little doubt that the middle classes of the Western world are in a world of pain. Most people have no understanding of investment or assets, so they try to hang on to their beloved real estate for no particular reason. 70% of middle class people in the Western world will never achieve a property title, and most of those will die in abject poverty. These are the facts. The problem for the middle class is that they spend most of their funds, and in some cases invest what's left, whereas investors invest all their funds and spend the profits. I have spoken extensively about risk assets, in-system and out-of-system diversifications. Whilst I am not a financial advisor, I have a very strong opinion on how to not only succeed through this impending reset, but how to thrive. First of all, start moving away from fiat remunerated assets. These include stocks, shares, equities, bonds, annuities, treasuries, and even real estate. These types of in-system assets are remunerated in fiat dollars, and with fiat dollars you can amass enormous amounts of currency. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Provided that you stay within the confines of the central bank debt system, you will never have any wealth. That's the issue with the middle class. They believe that having more of this paper stuff somehow provides wealth. It actually doesn't. If you are holding large sums of cash within the confines of a commercial bank, that is a higher risk diversification because commercial banks tend to collapse on reset. A smarter idea would be to take those pieces of paper and convert them to wealth preservation assets, or assets that sit outside the debt system. One of my favourite strategies is to buy risk-off assets, assets that are physical monetary commodities with zero counterparty risk. In other words, you are the central bank. The assets that are best at preserving wealth on planet Earth, in my opinion, are physical gold, 999, and physical silver, our trading asset. And of those, silver is by far and away my favourite. But monetary commodities are not an end in themselves. You will still need some kind of out-of-system trading mechanism, and fortunately we have one, and it comes from the digital assets space. Beat the Reset has come to understand that the most successful of the digital assets is Bitcoin, by far. I would also encourage investors to look into asset classes such as MX technologies and RWA tokenization, which I believe is the next biggest market on the planet. But by holding these two assets, they both work very well together and they offset one another. Beat the Reset, together with Adams Bullion and our digital assets partner Stormrake, have recently closed the loop on how to trade between physical monetary commodities and digital assets and back again. This is an incredible breakthrough because it keeps you completely away from the central bank debt system, being able to trade without ever touching fiat dollars. As we head towards 2030, the world will look very different. Most people are unaware that the digital twin cities have already not only been built in some locations, but are being built everywhere. These cities operate on SMART smart grids. These digital grids operate on zero trust networks. They are geo-fenced and geo-timed. And they also incorporate something called a social credit score, which will be connected to a digital ID. This is a system that is designed for enslavement and debt and monitoring 24/7. For those non-believers that are listening to this, it has already been built. In my own city, in Melbourne, in the state of Victoria, Australia, our digital twin city was installed in the October of 2022 at a total taxpayer's expense of $400 million for installation. These things are very real. Cycles happen all the time. The power triangle of this planet is alive and well. Remember, the central banks pay for it. The globalists, the United Nations and co, they control it, and the corporations will build it. Rest assured that that is happening right now, and it will continue to happen. The Bank for International Settlements, the most powerful central bank on earth, is funding a project called Project Enbridge between the BRICS nations. This is a clear move towards de-dollarization. The dollar we are referring to here is the United States dollar, the world reserve currency, and the day that that ends, the entire world will change. Whilst I cannot give you financial advice, I am encouraging you to consider diversifying into out-of-system wealth preservation and trading assets, remembering that if you continue to use central bank-issued fiat promissory debt to try to build wealth, you can't do that. It is not possible. The only thing you can do with fiat currencies is buy more stuff and collect more promissory debt. That is it. But if you want to build true wealth, you can do it, but you need to move outside the system. So in closing, please understand, this reset is very real. It is a standard cycle. That's it. But perhaps people don't believe that this reset is coming because of the World Economic Forum and its leader Klaus Schwab, when he said the immortalized words, "You will own nothing and you will be happy." But the World Economic Forum is simply a 1,000 member lobbying organization known as an NGO, a non-government organization. The true power of this planet lies with the central banks, and that is what most people miss. And when you understand that, you will understand that we are moving to a currency reset. That's all this is. So all I am saying to you and your family and your loved ones is diversify, diversify, and diversify. Protect your health. That is your big one. Protect your families. And as always, make good choices.